Lifestyle podcast. This is Dominika Miernik, your host, and today I am coming to you with a special guest, Sara Coggiola. She is a coach and intercultural trainer. She's from Italy, my favorite country. And with Sara, today we are going to speak about how to adapt to a new culture and to a new country. So, hello, Sara. Welcome to the show. So, could you please tell us more how your international journey started?
Hi, Dominika. Thank you so much for having me here in your show. It's a great opportunity and it's a very interesting show that brings a lot of richness to all the people who are listening to you. My journey started 16 years ago now when we left Italy for at that time was just a 6 months mission. For my husband was his first job assignment to Thailand. It turned out to be 60 years afterwards, so it changed completely. And it was a very difficult beginning, specifically because of the different cultures. Characteristic, and so this is what is called culture shock, when you arrive and you land to a new country without being prepared of the culture etiquette or tradition of one place. But in the end, we became a family. We rooted in that country, and once we got to know the cultural values and how those people connect with others, we fell in love with the culture, and it was a very interesting experience. And overall, it had a huge impact both on myself and my husband. And that was the beginning of our life abroad, which was, it started mainly because we love to experience and we studied foreign languages, which really gave us the opportunity to travel, not just for leisure, but also being able to work and seek professional opportunities abroad.
Fantastic. Yeah. So you moved a lot. So from a short experience, which was supposed to be only for 6 months, your international journey has been now for 16
yes. 16 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, this is usually how we all start. Yeah, with a plan to stay abroad for a few months, maybe 1 year, and then we stay whole life.
Yeah, life happens and things change and new opportunities can come along, and you had to embrace it. Otherwise, it would be difficult to be stuck in one country. So afterwards, we were repatriated to Europe, and we spent a couple of years in Italy, back in Italy. Then we were sent to Luxembourg. Meanwhile, our family grew, so we had another addition. My son was born in Luxembourg, and 4 years ago, we moved to the current place we are living in, Melbourne, Australia.
Yeah, so completely different culture once again. Yeah, so I have connected with Sara because we are both members of Families of Global Transition, which is a fantastic organization for families, expats, digital nomad, or globally mobile individuals. And I have attended Sara workshop this year at the Families and Global Transition conference about how to adapt to a new country, to a new culture by using a universal adapter metaphor. So could you please tell us more about that? What do you mean, and how to use it?
Sure. So this was a very simple object that struck me. And I think this is a super useful tool that everyone who lives abroad come across in their life, and it becomes indispensable in your luggage, in your suitcase. And so one day I was thinking how this is so useful, and it's exactly the first thing that you need to use once you arrive to a new country to recharge all your devices. And nowadays we use our phone to do pretty everything, to book our tickets, to communicate with our family, using maps to navigate and find the grocery store, pretty everything. So this was the first thing that we had to have with us, and I thought about the duality of these instruments. So there's a plug that goes inwards, and something has to come up in order to be able the electricity to flow, pass, and give power to what we are using. And I was reflecting on how every one of us who is experiencing life abroad needs to adapt and find a way, like this object, to adapt in a different culture, and how it is very different to every one of us, the way we can adapt. There's no formula that one fits all. So I started reflecting on this metaphor, and for example, I was thinking, starting from the cultural identity, for example, to explain a little bit this metaphor. If I think I'm Italian, and from my cultural perspective, what are my values? What is important for me? What do I need to honor? What is important to keep in my identity, even if I live in a foreign country? At the same time, the language is such an important element, but it could be also a barrier if you're not able to speak the language of the country where you're living. So, for example, Thailand was very difficult at the beginning, and I'm so grateful anyway that so many Thai are able to speak some words of English, because otherwise it wouldn't be so easy to communicate on a daily basis, even to go to the grocery shopping. So it's really an invitation to move for ourselves, to move closer to the host country culture, and be able to interact in many ways. So I was talking about identity. One simple example, if we think about Italian, one of the Italian values is also food, for example, and it's such a convivial moment that we can share with everyone. And it's impossible not to talk about food in every culture. And so for me, one of the easy way to connect with the local community was to start sharing my food. And so I started to invite people over and organizing cooking club, where every member of this group of friends, which we became friends ultimately, everyone was sharing their own recipe, and with that, you were sharing a piece of your culture. And so it was a very simple exchange, and it was a way to make new friends, socializing, be connected to the local culture. Then I was thinking, one of the other elements that we need to use and be aware of and consider it is which stage of life you are moving to a different culture. Because it's very different if you're moving as an adult, a young adult, if you are in a relationship, in a couple relationship, or if you're moving as a family. Then if you are working, again, it's a different experience. Instead of having leisure or free time to explore and wander a country. But when you move as a family and having kids along, the needs that the caring provider needs to think about are bigger than when you are traveling solo or in a couple. You're much more independent, you're flexible, you can do whatever you want. But with a family, all your schedule and the needs are very different. So this is also another way to adapt and think. As a profession coming to, so, and this goes on, basically, finding a way in which you are able to fulfill your needs, but in the same time, be intentional to connect to the local culture. So even professionally, maybe having a passion or a hobby, maybe being a good photographer, you could start a group and going, taking photo in a park, or maybe you can put your expertise available for some community center or helping refugees or other social. And so that was an idea, which is a pretty simple. Now it was just an introduction, but I thought it was good to have it designed as a small webinar. So this could be very useful for every individual or family who is moving abroad and can just learn a few basic things using this metaphor.
Yeah, I like very much the idea. I like the metaphor of universal adapter. It's a very nice way of putting everything together. How you can adapt what is important for you, as you said, your values from your country, your own identity, personality, or stages of life when you are moving abroad. Because it's different when, for example, you are moving when you are just 18 or 20 years old, and then in your mid 30s or 40s, so it's different, and also having the family. So like, could you please explain maybe a little bit more how to use it when it comes to your skills, to your professional background? So how can, for example, can we explore those skills that we already have and adapt them or change them to start crafting like our professional identity, professional career path, for example?
Sure, exactly. Because if we go back to identity again, once we are aware of our own cultural identity, we become more sensible also to what is different from us. And so you become more aware for different culture who you are encountering on a daily basis. And this could be also in a working environment. Nowadays, more and more people are sitting next to someone who is coming from another country or has been brought up in a different country. Nowadays, many go to study and do university in a different place compared to when they grow up. So this helps as well to become more culturally aware. When it comes in terms of professional skills, one of the exercises that I propose in my webinars is really to do a first skill drill. So just taking a piece of paper and writing down what are our skills and our competencies, what we have done so far, what we have used on a daily basis in our job, but even on personal life. We might be very good at decluttering house, tidy up the library, and then this could be a transferable skill that you can use in any other activity. And these, there's a specific exercise where we can ask for a first circle of interaction, like friends and relatives, to give us back three adjectives with which they would describe us. It can be anything. And this is the first very simple feedback that we can use to think on how we are perceived. And perhaps it might be a skill that we underestimate, but actually we are very good at. Like, for example, being empathetic, which is a soft skill. Nobody thinks about being empathetic as something that you can use in your professional career, but instead is such an important value in specific industries, such an important skill that you can use nowadays. So doing these exercises of listing and then thinking which one can be repurposed and can be reused in a different context. And it's a very nice reflective exercise. And it also helps to go match the job search if we are in a new country and we are maybe scanning LinkedIn or magazines where all the job posting are listed. There's a new way to compare CVs, curriculums, what is requested. For example, for the Australian administration, there are specific forms that need to be filled and need to be added to the curriculum, and also specific proof of experience need to be listed, like writing down an essay. So every country has different specialties.
Yeah, and yeah, also those, like as you said, like mapping those skills, writing those skills, and it can also help you to reflect. It doesn't have to be like connected to a job, but also like building like a business, online business, or yeah, finding your new calling. So we can also use
Absolutely. If we are good at social skills, it can become a very good useful way of helping networking events for like what we're doing for FIGT, which is a not-for-profit, and the best way is to be connected to other people and get to know other skills, people that might be useful to develop a project. So there are many things that we can work on.
Yeah. So, so what about you? So, how did you find your calling, and you created between cultures?
That was out of one of my reinvention, actually. When we were repatriated to Europe and we arrived to Luxembourg, which is a very small country, but half of the population is foreigner. I really felt the need to help other families in the same situation. At that point, I really understood something important, which was my assets were exactly my personal experiences abroad. So what I've been through up to that moment, I needed to make it available for others. So every new mom having maybe challenges in finding a new doctor for their babies, or how to deliver a baby in a foreign country, not having the same services, even going through all the paperwork, is something you're not prepared until you are faced with this new necessity. So I realized that my experience could be helpful, could be reorganized. At that point, I decided to retrain. So I went to coaching certification. I became a certified life coach in order to acquire the tools that I could use to help people, because it wasn't my background. I studied foreign languages, and when I left Italy, I was working in the publishing industry, and I was filming recipes, doing multimedia, totally different.
Totally different, yeah, totally different path, yeah.
Yes, and every country we moved, I found it very difficult to keep my profession at that time. So I had reinvention became something constant for me. And because I knew that we were crossing cultures and countries and meeting other people coming from all over the world, I said, I need to be culturally aware of the differences and how these impact our life at school, at home, or in a working environment. And so I did a specific training as well with Anne Copeland, the Interchange Institute, which is also one of the very first actor that made Families in Global Transition Conference so special. And so Between Cultures came out as a small website, so I could give and offer services to individuals and families. And now I am structuring my offer, not just an individual coaching, but also intercultural training. And what I love about these is that everyone that participates to the training brings a piece of the puzzle and makes the whole experience even richer, because you are bringing your own life and your events and experiences to the benefit of the other participants. And reinvention workshops are very interesting. And I decided to launch in 2021 the podcast about reinvention stories. And that's why I connected to you. I was so happy to have your inputs and your insights.
Yeah, so a new fantastic project. Yes, that's true, because when we are like moving, we have to like reinvent, think about how to adapt our skills, or maybe do a training as you did, and you completely change your career. You are doing completely something different. So it's like, renewing yourself, doing something, thinking about how you can adapt. So like, what was your biggest challenge when you were adapting to a new country? So you mentioned that Thailand was challenging for you.
Exactly. So Thailand was very challenging for me at first, for the different cultural values, the different lifestyle. The weather was more or less bearable, even though it's very hot and humid. But I would say, it was the pleasant part of living in Thailand. But if I can say, there's a common thread which I share with many women, which are the accompanying spouses when a couple or a family move abroad, is that it's not always easy for both career to continue in different countries. And especially the women is the one who has to adapt or reinvent. The women who is looking after the kids and have these big, important role of looking after the well-being, the emotional well-being of the whole family, it becomes a little bit isolated. So isolation, I would say, is the biggest negative aspect of of my experiences abroad, because over the years, when I wasn't able to find a job, for example, in Thailand, it took me more than 1 year to find the first job. And then when you have kids, it's very difficult to find, not even thinking normal countries, to find a part-time job and juggle family and working life. But when you have kids, even in primary school age, I always, when I talk with other moms and I say, us moms, we are home, the kids go to school, the husband goes to the office, and they all belong to a social environment, and the mom is more or less isolated in this, unless he's able to find community to participate, even doing volunteer work or helping in socializing, or if there's a necessity or a need to retrain, so starting a new study path. Otherwise, it's a bit lonely place. Even though you can have a good community online, but it's not the same as being in the office and or in school and talking with other people the whole day.
Yes, and especially now, because so here we are still in the pandemic. So although we can go and meet with people now, but it's still challenging. So it's even worse than before. For example, when you are moving now to a new country and you have to build your career or adapt and take care of your family, you can really feel isolated. Right now with those restrictions and no possibilities to meet with people, go to networking events or like community events, inviting people to your house. So it's really challenging right now. Another challenge that I see, as you said before, also you mentioned this, that when, for example, you are moving with your family and you want to build your career or still work on your career projects or business, it's difficult to manage your time. And this is the most common challenge that I hear from many women who are moving, especially with little babies. So like, what is your experience with that? Because you are involved in many projects. So what is like your one best way to manage your time, let's say?
I absolutely agree what you say, Dominic. It's very difficult to manage time, and especially when there are young kids involved, and depending on the possibility of every couple and family in being able to secure a job, to maintain a job for the mom, and being able to send maybe the kids to daycare. It's not always an option. It's not always a choice, because nowadays we can choose, given the fact that we can economically and financially do that, we can choose to be there with our kids. But it requires a lot of organization, and especially during COVID, we were wearing so many hats at the same time. Like I literally was the cook, preparing all the meals for all the family. And then I sat at the desk and being the teacher assistant of my youngest, because he wouldn't follow with an iPad his screen. He was just sucking his thumb and curling my hair because he was just frustrated about the situation, and he was completely withdrawn from the remote learning. It wasn't a good experience for his age. At different age, I know that some people have also benefited of being isolated in their bedroom. But going back to us and how we manage, when I had very young babies back at the time, I was trying to do it all, and it turned out to be harmful for my well-being. I was overtired and nearly had a burnout, and that made me realize that I wasn't able to do everything as I wished. It wasn't, especially because we didn't have, when you live abroad, you don't have family assistance, so an extended family are just the friends who you rely on. And so I had to go back to my own strength, and if I needed to rest, I needed to rest as well as the kids. And so organizing the time every year to what I was able to do. And now I'm starting again working in the morning at my projects. And because of the time zone, I always finish after dinner until bedtime. I have my second portion of working time, and the afternoon is basically driving the kids around to the activities.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah,
I think everyone needs to find their own way to function the same way as the adapter metaphor. What works for everyone. There are many factors to take in consideration, and really planning, being able to organize and prioritizing what is important for the family. And every element of the family has different needs that we need to consider.
Exactly. So thank you very much, Sara, for sharing your experience and your tips and resources. So tell us more, what are your plans, projects for the future, and how people can connect with you?
Thank you. So yes, now, my biggest project will be launching the Reinvention podcast, where I'm very honored. I love to hear stories about reinvention, but stories in general about every person has its own amazing life story. So I'm looking for people who would like to be featured and interviewed in the podcast. It's all in the doing, in the making and planning. My website is www.between-cultures.com, where you can find all the services that I offer in terms of training and individual coaching, and on Instagram, basically.
Great, wonderful. So thank you very much for that. So I will put the information with the show notes, the link to the website, so people can go and connect with you and learn more about Universal Adaptor and explore more how to adapt to a new country. So thank you very much for listening, if you are listening to this episode, or thank you very much for watching. So tell us, what are your learning points from this interview? What steps are you going to take? Or how did you overcome your own challenges when adapting to a new country? So share in the comments, and I will be back soon with another new episode. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sara.
Thank you, Dominika. Thank you.